Do you have a circuit tracks? Do you want to do endless jams in a sort of DJ style that keeps you having fun while everyone else is just engaged and partying? Stay tuned then. Here's the main idea. We have synth 1 and 2 of the circuit tracks with a patch that resembles acid, an acid patch with the distortion and everything. Think TB303. And each one of these tracks has like a specific pattern with a pre-made bass line. We also have several pre-made drum patterns in each of the 4 drum tracks that the circuit has, and these are divided by intensity. And for each session, we have the normal bassline part, and then we have a specific session made for a special build-up, you know, either a breakdown or a build-up, so we can transition between all of these sessions together. This is actually very easy to set up and build, so you'll be ready to go in no time. So now, how do you exactly use this? Think of synth 1 and 2 as DJ decks. You have deck A and deck B. So you'll bring one of these up, you'll tweak the parameters of the synth all live, then you'll keep adding and building on the drums, so you can add different drum parts and keep building up the song. You'll mute parts accordingly, you know, just go over the song, build up a song completely live. And then when you're done with that specific pattern, you'll bring it down, you'll mix the other one, the deck B, and you'll have a fresh new pattern to play along with. And then you start the process all over again. So to me, this by itself is already a pretty powerful way of using the circuit tracks in a live session, in a live environment. But the key part here is actually the mutate feature. That's what just changed the game completely. Let me explain how this works. So you'll have, for example, synth B just playing active. Let's say that it's active. And while synth B is playing, you'll go to the inactive synth, the one that is disabled right now because the volume is all turned down. You'll access the pattern and just use the mutate button to generate a completely new pattern. But since this is a mutation, it will use the same notes as before. It's just the order that will change. But you perceive this as a completely new pattern, you know, because everything is different, so it sounds different. Therefore, it sounds new. After this mutation, you'll bring it up again. You'll turn down synth A, for example, and bring up synth B, and you'll have effectively a new song to play with. This is the core idea. You use the mutate button to create fresh new patterns, but still on the same, you know, still on rails, because you're still using the same notes as before, but you're randomizing them in a way that makes sense. Although sometimes you still come up with a lemon, but for me, you know, that risk is part of the fun. Everything else in the set is built around this idea. The drum tracks are divided by type and intensity. So, for example, drum 1 is the kick, drum 2 is a snare, drum 3 is primarily open hats, keeps the rhythm going, and drum 4 is whatever you want, whatever samples you want to add. You then mute and change these accordingly, these drum parts accordingly, to signify different parts of the song and song variations. Personally, I like to stick to one type of kick per session, but I make them different for each sessions. You know, either in terms of the tuning or the booming. You know, I have several kicks that I've made in Ableton just to be able to have some kind of consistency between them, but still make them different, so whoever's listening is also detecting these types of differences as well. The Circuit Tracks has this amazing feature, which is a dedicated knob for the master filter. And it allows you to do transitions, to do breakdowns, or to do build-ups between song parts or even sessions. It's a great tool, so make sure that you use and abuse of it. In terms of patches, I've created my own acid-like patches. Think of the TB303 types of patches, and I've tried to not really replicate, not really try to clone, but in that same vibe. And I made a bunch of them that are slightly different between each other. Like, for example, one will use a square wave and the other will use a saw wave and, a pulse wave. Just so there's some kind of slight difference when I transition from synth 1 to synth 2, so it's not always the same. But this is really up to you. It depends on what you actually want to achieve. But for me, I like that slight variation. And, you know, even these types of waves, they all connect differently with the distortion. So it adds to the overall chaos, if you know what I mean. And of course, I made all of the most important parameters, to me, of course, tweakable by using the knobs that the Circuit Tracks has. So for example, filter cutoff and resonance, of course, those are mapped to their own specific knobs, but also chorus and distortion control, they're also mapped to their own knobs as well. If the type of wave allows it, I'll have a wave position knob for it, just to kind of make slight changes to the sound live. Some knobs also control the filter cutoff attack position, just to make the filter behave and kind of do weirder effects, you know, just so it's always different if I want. I've also mapped the synth envelope release control to its specific knob, because I think it allows you to have more energy overall. Like if you want like a high climax on your song, you use that and it adds this driving force to the whole jam, which is really, really great and gets people going. It's really important that you keep tweaking this while you're playing live, because honestly, that's what makes it fun for us as the people that are actually doing the jam, and whoever's listening, it won't get boring to them, because you're always tweaking, you're always changing the sound, so it sounds kind of like organic, especially when you're adding like the filter tweaks and you're adding slight hints of the distortion or the chorus or whatever, or you know, when you change the attack of the filter, all of that, it keeps modulating the sound in ways that it's interesting and it won't get boring. All right. The Circuit Tracks also has its own internal effects like delay and reverb, and I sometimes play with them in order to either to do breakdowns or to add more body to a certain sound that I want. I tend to not overdo them, because I think that at some point it kind of removes from the energy that I want to add to these tracks. But yeah, you do you. If you find a better use to it, feel free to experiment, really. And as I've mentioned before, I also create a second session where there's an epic kind of sound, some epic chords that I can add in for this big climax. I like to think that with the normal session, you're always adding these smaller climaxes by using the release, for example. But when you really want to change between, for example, you have one session with a specific key and you want to transition to another key, or another session that has different drums or whatever, you can use this bigger breakdown session, so to speak, with some epic chords that you can add in, make this great tension, and then release, and then transition to the other session that you want with different drums, different patches, whatever. In my specific situation is that I have like a bunch of these set next to each other, so if I want, I can change to one and the other and the other and the other, like a DJ set. Basically, you're skipping between tracks and you're adding new tracks, whatever. All of these have different pre-made bass lines that I can then mutate and just keep going if I want, you know? One last thing about the setup is that I never save anything. So I have like these pre-made sessions, and I have built them in such a way that whenever they start with the basic elements, and I can tweak all of them. You know, I can go crazy with whatever, but never save them. So next time that I reload this session, either on the current jam or in a future jam after I turn off the device, it always comes back to that specific default state, you know, and I think this is important. And I think that the Circuit Tracks even has this feature to not allow you to save over anything. It's in the setup screen or whatever. I don't use it myself, but if you think that you might that this might cause problems, that you have the tendency to just tap the save button away, you can activate this option and not worry about that at all. But it's important that you don't save over it, or else you'll screw it for the next jam. And that's it. This is my Circuit Tracks DJ set idea. I've been having a lot of fun. Honestly, it's been a blast to try this and to expand on this and even play it with friends. And I honestly hope that you'll have fun too. If anything, just try it to see if it clicks with you. But in order to have like a quick way to do a jam where you feel like you're not always playing the same thing over and over and over and over again, the mutation button adds this slight variation that, to me, it makes it all worth it. If you have any ideas on how to improve the setup or the performance part, please let me know in the comments. I really like to know. And if you like this video, you know, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more. So I'll see you next time, and until then, keep jamming.